Today we are back working on the 1971 F100. We got it on jacks because today we're lowering it to the ground. I got a 3-inch drop shackle lowering kit with 3-inch front coil springs and a whole set of new shocks. And we're gonna be bringing this thing to the ground to its proper stance. We also have a few new things from the last video that we'll get to in a second, but I'm gonna get straight to put on the new drop shackles, the new front mounts, and then we'll tackle the front end where we'll replace the springs and replace the shocks all the way around. All right, well, we got one drop shackle done. I haven't decided if I'm gonna go for the 3-inch or 4-inch drop, so I'm putting it here, which I believe is the 3-inch for now. But that's how it looks. We still have to do the front, so it's not quite lined up as it's going to sit, and the axle obviously is sagging. So now we're gonna do the same exact thing to the other side before we move on to the front mounts, which we're gonna have to drill out the rivets for. So we're gonna do the other side, and then I'll get back to you guys. All right, well, a lot has happened since we last talked. This side ended up being much bigger of a pain than the other side, and that was due to this bad boy. So the driver's side had a heavy duty spring on it, whereas the passenger side did not. So in order to level things out, we had to take that off, which means I had to drop the whole U-bolt assembly holding the springs on to the rear axle. I had to drop that, take this spring off, put everything back together. We got the drop shackle in, and now we're going to be replacing both of the rear shocks with these brand new dual stage rear shocks. So we're gonna be doing that now. The drop shackles are in, and the next step is gonna be the hardest step of the rear end of lowering it. And that's gonna be grinding off these rivets on these brackets to put the new brackets on, which are bolt through. So this is gonna be a real pain, and I'm probably not gonna get to it today, but at least we'll have both the rear drop shackles installed. We can set it down and see how much of a difference just those make. Here are the new brackets that we have to install. But other than that, we're chugging along. So these were part of the stock leaf spring suspension system, and these were called like Flex Ride or Flexo springs or something like that. And these pretty much were supposed to give a more cushioned drive, although I didn't feel a cushioned drive at all driving this thing on the stock springs, and I think that's partially due to the blown out shocks, but it was a rough ride. So this is going to help it out a lot. And then while we're here, I do want to show you some new exciting news. We have the new tire setup on. So here are the new wheels that we'll be rocking. We got some Bassett Racing D-hole NASCAR style Steelies. Of course, we got the Cooper Cobra radials. We have 295s in the rear, 275s in the front. This is about how the fitment's gonna look when everything's done, both on the front and rear end. This already has the drop springs in it, but I ordered some new drop springs that come with the kit that I got to replace them. But this is about how the front's gonna sit and the rear's gonna sit when it's all on the ground after it's all finished. So we'll have about maybe a 1/2-inch gap, 1-inch gap at normal ride height, which is pretty much exactly what I want. But I'm really happy with how these look, and I'm really excited to get this thing on the road and drive it. And some more exciting news is this package right here. This came when I was wrenching earlier, and it's a full MSD ignition kit for the 71. We got an MSD AL series ignition box. We got a ready to run Pro billet distributor. We have a new coil, and we got a coil mount. And the most exciting part about all this, we got a 2-step box, which I am extremely excited about. So this whole truck's gonna be running on MSD ignition. It's gonna have 2-step, it's gonna have everything. So this thing's gonna immediately pick up some horsepower, because right now we have that miss, which I almost guarantee is from the stock style distributor that is in there right now. So replacing the ignition system is gonna help the thing run a whole lot smoother. It'll probably pick up a little bit of power because of that miss. And then it's gonna prep us to be able to put in a 4-barrel carburetor and get that tuned as well, which is my overall goal for this motor for the stage 1 build, is just doing the MSD ignition system and then a 4-barrel Holley carburetor. and of course the lowering kit. So I'm going to get the new shocks installed, put the wheel back on, drop it, and we'll see how she looks. All right, it is now day 2 of working on the lowering kit on the F100, and we made some progress since last night. We got the passenger side lowering mount on, installed, and we painted the frame behind it. And of course we have the shackle on already. And here on the driver's side, we have the shackle on, but we left off drilling through this mount. So basically protocol for getting these off, there's a few different ways for doing it. The way I decided to go is grinding off the heads of the rivets, all 4 of them, drilling through them, and then getting a hammer and a punch and punching it out. So we're working on that right now. I have 3 holes drilled, have to drill the 4th one. I'm still working on knocking out the 3 that I've drilled, but that's pretty much where we are on the rear end. And then once we finish this, we're going to change out the shocks and the springs in the front end. Now I do have the rear shocks on, and the fitment looks great when it's on the ground. I really like the way it looks, the way it rides. So I'm gonna get cracking on this driver's side mount. Gonna get it changed out, and then we'll move on to the front side. All right, I just finished up the rear end, and man, does it look good. That is just a perfect stance. It sits exactly how I wanted it to. So, man, I'm ecstatic. The rear is done. After a couple trips to some auto parts stores to get some washers to level out my U-bolts, because I did adjust that driver's side spring. I got it all aligned, got it up, bolted together, everything's torqued down, and it's ready to go. So now the only thing left to do is change out the front shocks and the front springs. Now, I got about an hour of daylight before the day is coming to a close. And I do have work tomorrow, so I'm gonna see if I can hammer this out quick enough. I'm gonna start with the shocks, see what time it is, maybe go to the springs, because I do wanna drive this tomorrow. But worst case, I'll put the shocks on, and it has some janky lowering springs. Don't think that they're the correct ones, but it has some on there. So I'm just gonna replace the shocks. Then I'll drive it tomorrow. But best case, I crank these out and I get the new shocks in, the new springs, and then we'll be done with the lowering kit. So I'm gonna get started on that while there's still daylight. She is done. We're a little bit past sundown at this point. It's been dark for a while, but I was right. There was no way I was getting those coil springs on tonight, so I just did the shocks on the front end, and the rear end is complete. So here's how she's sitting. We'll get a better view in the daylight, but for now, here's a little teaser. I'm just stoked with this. This looks exactly like how I wanted it to look. Perfect clearance. Now the new coils are a little taller than the existing coils I have in there. So eventually we will need to get some new lowering I-beams because I'm on stock I-beams right now, but for the time being, I love the way this looks. So I'm gonna take it out for its first drive tomorrow. Hopefully I'll get some footage of that, and we'll take it on a whole drive. We'll take it to work, take it back, run some errands with it, and we'll see how she does. She is leaking some transmission fluid at the moment. I'm almost positive it is a bad pan gasket. It's not enough to be worried about. Check the levels, everything's fine. It's a small drip, so we'll leave that for now. But that's about it for tonight. The last thing I really need to do is install the rear view, which is right there. Tried twice and no luck. The glue I use, I bought windshield mirror glue, and it's broken out both times with just a tiny bit of pressure. So I gotta think of a new way to mount that. If not, maybe get a different one. It is pretty heavy. It is a full billet rear view. It's got some weight to it, but see there, the glue just peeled right off and it's left its residue on there. So we'll have to find a solution to that, but I did put on the other side view that was not on there in episode 1. So at least I got both my side view mirrors, so that'll be fine. But that's it for tonight. I'm gonna go get some sleep for work tomorrow, and I'll see you guys in the next part. Well, the audio's gonna be pretty bad. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning, and so far she's doing good. The gauges are working, but some of the lights are not working. So currently can't see the oil pressure or water temp gauge without a flashlight. But it's all right. Check it once in a while, it'll be all good. I mean, it's driving nice. I also did not connect the kickdown pedal, so the transmission has no kickdown right now, which is a little annoying, but it's making it work. And we're gonna get on the freeway, and we're gonna see how she does. Well, we're doing about 45 to 50 mile an hour, about 1900 RPMs. She's just cruising. She rides a lot softer than she did before, and I think that was greatly due to the new shocks. Yeah, I'm honestly pretty happy with this. I haven't really given her much gas yet. She still has that miss, and I don't want to test that today. So I'm kind of being a little more gentle on her until we get that new MSD ignition in. Then we'll kind of put the beating on her from there. But so far, just cruising. I like it. There's a little high-speed run for the day. Yeah, I think she's cruising great. She feels really good. Goes over the bumps pretty nice. Got her a full tank of gas. So, yeah, unless something comes up, we'll see you in the daylight. All right, it is now daylight, and we can clearly see how the lowering kit looks on the F100, and man, that thing looks insane. The fitment is pretty much perfect. It's exactly what I wanted. The ride height's great. Everything aesthetically now is great when it comes to the tire fitment and the suspension. Obviously, there's a lot more aesthetically to do on the F100, but the work paid off. Pretty much spent all weekend wrenching on this thing to get it to fit right. And like I said, the coil springs that came in the kit are not on there because I do need to get some specialized lowering I-beams for this thing. But for now, other than a slight camber to it, which is barely noticeable, it's pretty much done. That's the way it's gonna sit for a while until I get those I-beams. So we have a lot to do in the next video, but for today, that's the end. And I'm just stoked with how it came out. I do still need to put on the rear view mirror, but I've tried twice now. The glue has failed both times. I'm not sure what I did wrong. I used the activator, I used actual window rear mirror glue, and it came immediately off after curing for 24 hours. So I'm not sure what the problem with that is. I might try a different brand. If it still doesn't work, I'm just gonna have to take it to a auto glass shop and have them install it. But yeah, I'm stoked with how she turned out, and stoked for what we have planned for this thing. We got a whole new ignition system for this thing that's gonna go in. We're gonna get it tuned up right, and then once we get the ignition in, the next step is going to be putting a Holley 4-barrel on this thing to actually get some gas moving and get rid of that remanufactured stock spec 2-barrel. But that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. We got a lot left to do on the 71 F100, so I encourage you guys to stick around and see all the exciting things I have planned for this truck. We're nearing the finish line to where I'll be able to actually start kind of putting this truck through the ringer. There's a few things I need to fix first before I can really start having fun with this truck. I'm kind of just babying it right now because really it can't handle it. Between the misfire, the exhaust leaks, and the leaky transmission pan, this thing really can't take a beating right now. So I'm going to address all those things in the next video, and then we'll get this thing dialed and maybe even make it to the drag strip sooner rather than later. But yeah, that's it for now. I'll see you guys in the next one.